This is the video for routine 101 of the vector game. First, it sets the direction in the R register to 0. And then for I of 0, and down here next I, mg, one at a time, that is going to go around 80 times. It's going to define the outside of the circle for the test circle. Previously, we saw the answer circle. Well, here it sets the size to the test circle size, and then it does this operation with J, set the I, mod it with 10, and change that S value by the plus list array. This J will go from 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, and it's going to add so much to S. Next thing it does is the vector. Defines this X point and this Y point, giving the base point, which we know to be 0, 0. Then it adds a little to R, because it wants to go around 80 times and make a complete circle. This defines the test circle. Next, it sets X and Y position, but to 500, 205, but this isn't the position for this particular subprogram. This is the global values of X and Y. Then it sets R, the direction, to 240. That's straight to the right. Then it says S, the size of the vector we're going to make is the test track SS. But that's going to keep changing. This vector is for the movement of the circle from left to right, back to the left, back to the right. This is that vector that does that. It's going to make an XY position given this XG position, X and YG, and this, well, this direction and this size. So this thing is going to move back and forth. Then after it does that, it adds the test track speed to the test track SS, but we don't know if it's increasing the test track SS or decreasing, because watch, the next thing it does, it says if it's less than 330, go down here to BC, but if it's not, set it to the opposite direction. What it's saying here is when as far right as it's allowed to go, reverse the direction so it's going the other way. And then the next lines say, but if it's greater than 0, it's all right, but if it's not greater than 0, well, we have to reverse it again to go back the other way. This controls the left-right movement. Then it sets L to 1 and control register N to NG. That's the 80. How many in a circle? Then it says, okay, you just figured out an XY center point for me, but now I must add that to all the 0 base values I have in my test point X and test point Y, so that this T circle X and T circle Y are the actual move positions of it. But then it says, if show vectors is equal to 1, go to BG. When show vectors is a 1, that means it's the show the vectors and not show the circle itself. But if show vectors is not a 1, it'll continue on, set R, rotation direction, to 0. The circle doesn't rotate. Sets the size to the test circle size. Set Z to NG, which is the 80. And then says, get me the dot positions for all of those values in T circle X and T circle Y. Change the color to gray and polyfill it. Well, let's go back and see it. That's this gray area here. That's what we just saw, and we see that it is moving left and right. Now I've highlighted the rest of the instructions in routine 101. First, it sets A to 960. That's the number of directions in a circle. Then it divides it by the number in the polygon for the test. That'll tell it how much to change each time. That's in A. Then it sets the beginning direction to 0, sets the size to the t-poly size, then sets j to 0, and then for I of 1, and here we see next I for the number of sides in a test poly. Next, after it does that, it makes the vector, given the base position, which we know is 0, 0, and makes the value for x and y to put in these lists to draw the polygon. And each time it goes around, it changes the direction r by the value of a. That way it's going to make the size all around the circle. Alright, after that is done, it sets L to 1, NS control register to the number of sides, and here it's going to add to each one of these values up here, which were based on 0, it's going to add to them the x and y values. Well, those are the same x, y values it used for the circle. It's going to use to put the polygon inside the circle, so that they both are going to move together. Then it checks to see if show vectors is equal to a 1. That means it's not supposed to show the vectors, well, the vector lines, but it's supposed to show the circle itself. Go to BI, which just says go home and don't show it. But if show vectors is 0, it sets Z to the t-poly sides, and then it says you used a hold x and hold y, those that had the x and y added to them, to make the dots to be used right down here to make a polygon fill, which here we see the color is set to green, 50. Well, this is the end of the routine 101 for the vector game.